Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast, brought to you each and every time by OURA Ring. So many key metrics in this little piece of technology, totally non-invasive. I get all my sleep cycles, core temp, latency, all these things I think are super important. Really been a game changer for analyzing my sleep, not just my sleep, but also my recovery and my activity. Head on over to OURA Ring, OURA Ring.com. They'll send you a sizing kit. You got to have the right size, and then start tracking all these key metrics. So we got Johan over there in Madrid. We got George at the Hincapie Sports headquarters in Greenville. We got JB, and not in the Airstream down there in Austin. I'm here in my favorite place, dude, in Boulder, dude. It seems like I'm in Boulder more and more these days. With Grace, we moved her into she's going to be a sophomore, and she's lived in the dorm last year. She got her first apartment, so we got her all moved in yesterday, which is cool and important. But it's not as important as what today is. And today is Mr. Johan Brunel's birthday.
Happy
birthday, Johan.
Thank you very much.
Birthday. No, we'll spare everybody that. How old are you?
A lot older than I look. and a lot older than I feel. Yeah, 57 years old, man.
57.
Yep. Yeah. But I feel like 40. Well, 45.
I think you better think about that. Anyways, man, there's a bunch of people. Your birthday is today. Speaking of Grace, her mother's birthday is today.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And my old buddy from ESPN, Chris Fowler, also has a birthday today.
Yeah,
and I feel like I'm forgetting somebody else. It's a happy birthday, man. What are you going to do for your birthday? What are you going to do tonight?
Just spending time with my kids, man. That's my best birthday gift. Don't need anything else.
No, you don't.
No.
I love that. Perfect.
Yeah.
Today's show also brought to you by Helix. Talking about sleep. The Helix mattress has been a game changer, not just for myself. I know George is a big fan. It's been rated one of the top mattresses in the business by all the people that measure these things. It's you go on, you fill out a sleep quiz. So you kind of talk about your sleep characteristics and things that are particular to you. And they customize your mattress. It's fully customizable. So George, what do you think? I mean, you've had some.
Since I've gotten it about before the tour, about 6 months ago. I mean, anytime I sleep somewhere else, I notice a difference. Like now I need that mattress to have a perfect night's sleep.
So you should figure out a way you're such a diva. You could probably have them sent to all these places you go.
Do they ship to Spain?
That's a good question. We will certainly ask them. Let's get Johan a mattress for maybe a mattress for his birthday.
See?
Birthday mattress.
I mean, that's going to make me feel even younger.
Also a 10-year warranty. You can try it out for 100 nights, risk-free. That's pretty awesome. Total money-back guarantee there. Head on over to helixsleep.com/themove. Take the 2-minute quiz. Here's the other thing. They're offering up to $200 off all mattresses and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/themove. So, we're recapping the Tour of Spain. Johan's been obviously on the ground there, so to speak. Full transparency, I haven't paid much attention, but I've been on vacation with the family over in Nantucket. Got out of there just in time before that hurricane got there, but I did catch a couple stages, and I caught enough to know that I'm pretty much batting 1,000 on just never getting anything right. I mean, this guy Mikel Landa, is he even in the race anymore? You guys both pick Roglič. I'm like, I can't pick the same guy. That was my pick. Okay, for the record.
Oh yeah.
No, but it's boring if we all pick the same person. My guy's like not even in the same race, and Roglič, looks pretty dominant, right, Johan?
He does. I mean, he started off with an impressive performance in the prologue, really making a statement. Picking up where he left it last year in the Vuelta, and from there on, I think Roglič as an individual rider has been there every time he needed to be there. But I've seen a little bit different, and this is actually something we've seen through the whole season, is that his team Jumbo-Visma is not as dominant as last year and not as much able to support him than last year. But that's the only difference. I think Roglič right now looks in a great position to win it again.
Well, this is a bad trend for, I mean, just to not to get off talking about the Tour of Spain, but as we of course talk about, the looking forward to the Tour de France next year, we always question the strength of UAE. They just, every week, it seems like they're just adding more and more horsepower. And now these graphs are going the wrong way. It's not a good graph for Jumbo-Visma.
It's not. I mean, you also have to see, I think it's really a matter of budget nowadays also, in order to, like for Jumbo-Visma, in order to keep Roglič and to keep Van Aert, they obviously had to go deeper in their pockets, and then they have less to spend. They don't have an unlimited budget. Whereas, Ineos, for example, and UAE, I think they do have an unlimited budget at some point. Yeah.
Well, I think the big story is that I've witnessed is Fabio Jakobsen coming back from that horrific crash, the worst, you guys have said, who would know firsthand, the worst accident you've ever seen in cycling a year ago, and remarkable with 2 stage wins already.
Yeah, we spoke about that on the preview show when Johan asked me after like a crash, for instance, the crash I had in '95, where all of a sudden you have that little bit of change of mindset when you have to take those really big risks in the finales of these big races. And clearly that's not affecting him at all. I mean, these are super chaotic finishes and he's right there, really confident, relying on his team. His team's doing a great job, but he's got full power back, and it's just amazing to see the comeback he's gone through.
Yeah, I mean, the visibly, like watching the crash, JB, I mean, you just couldn't believe it. I mean, it was so spectacular, but I mean, we've been in this game long enough to know that there have been, at the end of the day, worse crashes, but just seeing that crash, I mean, when you first saw it, you thought this guy will never race a bike again. And if he does, how is he going to have the guts to duke it out for these sprints at 45 miles an hour, somebody pinning him on the barriers, having to not touch the brakes, but man,
I'll tell you what it's going to be potentially setting it up for is this huge sort of dramatic movie scene for next year's Tour de France. If you have Jakobsen and Dylan Groenewegen going head to head at these sprints of the Tour de France, I mean, I think that's going to be a major story.
And when Patrick Lefevere leaves Mark Cavendish at home. No, for real. I mean, think about it. And I'm not saying I'm not being snippy here, but this is Lefevere's thinking about that. I mean, I've read that they're and a little surprising to me that they are maybe close to renewing his contract for next year. But Patrick Lefevere is he's not going to think twice about that.
George, I don't think we're going to see a fight between Groenewegen and Jakobsen at the Tour. The way, I mean, unless Groenewegen leaves Jumbo-Visma, but I don't think that Jumbo-Visma can have the luxury to take Groenewegen to the Tour de France if they have this goal of winning with Primož Roglič. There's no place for a sprinter on a team like that. And Jakobsen, I think Jakobsen will go to the Tour de France. The rumors in the Koenig Quickstep are that Lefevere is actually considering signing Elia Viviani on the team again, and that there is no deal yet with Mark Cavendish. There was a meeting with Lefevere and Cavendish and the sponsors. And after half an hour of talks, the atmosphere became a bit heated from what I've heard. And Lefevere had said, okay, let's leave it at this point. Let's enjoy the dinner and we'll talk about it at another point. And so Lefevere says that, if Cavendish and his agent are reasonable, he expects them to come to an agreement. But for the moment, Mark Cavendish is not yet on Quickstep.
And how enjoyable do you think the dinner was after that?
I
know you came here to kind of iron this out and make it happen, but I'm kind of done talking about it. But let's just enjoy the dinner. I don't,
I think it's interesting.
Check, please.
Listening to you guys as we sit down for a week one recap of the Vuelta, and you guys immediately start talking about the Tour next year, right? That just that speaks to the power of the Tour. That you guys are just building the story already.
Which is the problem in cycling, JB. You know, I mean, we are talking about the Tour, and that's exactly where the problem of the whole structure of cycling is. The Tour is so powerful that, you know, the Vuelta is an amazing race. The Giro is an amazing race, yet we are here. And, you know, the Tour has so much power that it's completely unbalanced. And yeah, I was talking to a friend about that earlier today, and, you know, wonder what could be done to change that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we have a Vuelta here that's it's had some exciting moments just in my just kind of scanning the web on a daily basis, but you know, it's gone certainly as you guys thought it would have gone. You obviously were super unfortunate, and speaking of crashes, dramatic crash with Alejandro Valverde in his 30th Grand Tour. I was surprised at how strong he was looking in the big climbs. I mean, this is a big blow for Movistar and for him. But that crash looked nasty. But outside of things like that, you know, it is easy to start to let your mind wander and start talking about a race that is in 10 or 11 months from now.
Yeah,
kind of strange.
You know, we have the World Championships coming up. We're not even talking about that. We're already talking about next year's Tour de France, which is kind of messed up.
And Paris-Roubaix. Don't forget Paris-Roubaix.
Look, even Paris. Well, anyway, that's easy to forget, George, because we know normally you're not thinking about Paris-Roubaix in the fall.
Yeah.
But you know, it's going to happen. But no, to come back to the Vuelta, I think you're right, Lance. The crash of Valverde is a game changer in this race, because, and especially strategically for the whole race and for Movistar, of course, because they have Enric Mas and Superman Lopez, who are looking very strong, but at the same time, they have to race when the other favorites race. And Valverde was the guy who could basically break up the race by going into certain attacks, certain breakaways. Like yesterday, for example, would have been an amazing day for Valverde. So yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate. You know, luckily, he only broke his collarbone, which, you know, it was a bad crash. It was a really nasty crash and really bad luck. You know, there was that little tiny bump in the road. He hit that bump and lost control over his handlebars. And, you know, if you look at the images afterwards, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 10-meter gap between the guardrails, which I don't know if you remember, Lance. I was following you down the Yaskabel in San Sebastian, and I had the same exact crash as that, but I went underneath the barricades and got pretty messed up there. That's no fun.
And Chloe Dygert, everybody saw the damage that was done there with the guardrails.
Those things over here. I mean, I don't know. Do you have those things in the States? No. The same kind of.
Yeah.
Do we have? Wait a minute.
Those guardrails, those metal, the metal.
Hang on. It's for the audience that's watching live. I don't know. Just ask yourselves. Okay. If you're in the US, which most of you are, do we have guardrails here in the United States?
No, I mean, the same kind. The metal, sharp as a knife guardrails, which, you know, it stops a car, or it can, you know, slow down a car. But, you know, whenever you're a cyclist or a motorbike rider, these things can take your head off.
Yeah.
Well, let me get you guys your thoughts on Valverde crashing. Keep in mind, he's 41 years old, and it's the end of the season for him. What's that like coming back?
Typically,
he'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back. This is Valverde. The guy's a freaking monster. As Johan said, he was super strong already in this year's Vuelta. We counted him out before he comes back and win the World Championships, get third place in the Tour de France. I mean, the guy is a machine, and he's already signed for another year. In fact, I rode with Sevilla the other day, who was good friends with Valverde, and he says the guy, he signed a contract for another year. He's still super motivated. He's having fun. Like Johan has mentioned in the past, he doesn't have like a very sort of strict training plan, although it's very hard, but he just goes out and rides his bike, has fun, and goes harder when he wants to. And I mean, look what he's done for his career.
And not for nothing, it is only a broken collarbone. These are the, I mean, this happens to a lot of cyclists all the time. I mean, he'll be back on the bike in 2 weeks. I mean, this is not a Chris Froome-esque crash. The collarbone's really easy to fix. He may have signed for 1 more year. He's gonna be around longer than that.
I expect Valverde to do the final races in Italy this year. He's going to race this year. And, you know, I mean, if you look at, you say it's only a collarbone. That's right. You know, if you look at his, I mean, I don't remember, it was 2016 or 16 probably, or 17. He had this really bad crash in the prologue of the Tour de France. Messed up his leg. It was unbelievable, the injury. I mean, there's pictures out there of the damage, and see how he came back. I mean, at that point, he was already, you know, old. I would say old, not as old as me, but old for a cyclist. Had the courage to come back, motivated, you know, became world champion after that immense crash. So collarbone is nothing, piece of cake.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you know, let's keep talking about the Vuelta, but you know, we all want to eat healthier, right? So it always starts with breakfast, right? And certainly as a parent, you're feeding your kids the crap that we grew up on eating. You know, we don't feed our kids that stuff anymore. Magic Spoon has solved that for all of us. This is the healthiest cereal out there. 0 sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, 4 net grams of carbs, and only 140 calories per serving. Keto friendly, gluten free, grain free, soy free, low carb, GMO free, a bunch of free. I got a special offer for our listeners, a variety pack, 4 flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. My go-to flavor is actually blueberry. Love it. George, I know your kids just ripped through the Magic Spoon, right?
Yeah, we're
they
running low.
still back in school, man. The kids are back in school. You gotta start the day with a good meal. Otherwise, you're just gonna crash at school. Kids, listen to me. Start it with Magic Spoon. Head on over to magicspoon.com/themove and grab a variety pack. Try it today. Be sure to use the promo code THEMOVE for $5 off. That's magicspoon.com/themove. Healthiest cereal out there. What else about this tour? Yeah, I got a question. Go on. When did they and why did they change the jersey to red? This is a little, you know, because it used to, back in our day, it was the golden jersey. I get it. That's a little bit similar to the yellow jersey. Maybe they think, what's up with red?
It was yellow. First, it was yellow, and then they wanted to change it to. They didn't want. That was before the Vuelta was owned by the Tour de France. Let's not forget, this is a Tour de France owned event. 100%.
ASO, yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So they changed it to gold because they wanted to differentiate from the yellow jersey. But gold was not. You know, it's difficult to get gold. I mean, George will know this as a clothing manufacturer. It's difficult to have this golden effect. And at some point they just said, okay, you know what, we go completely away from yellow and gold, and they made it red. I mean, listen, I mean, the Spanish national football team plays in red. So red is obviously, you know, it's in, if you see it, it's in the logo behind me. Yeah, I mean, okay. I think they changed it. They changed it in 2000. Let's see, 2009 or 10. 2009 or 10. It became red. Yeah.
So there was no big backstory there.
No, I don't think so. It's mainly to differentiate it from the yellow jersey.
Got it. And give us an update on the heat. I know we talked a lot about that in the previous show. Has that come? Is it still, just speaking of red? No. Is it still red hot, or is it backed off?
Well, it's come down. It's come down. It's right. I mean, it started in the 40s. Now it's in, 34, 35, only 34, 35. It's still hot. But now they're going to, bit by bit, they're going to go up north. So the really difficult stages at the end, and especially in the last week, should be in better temperatures, maybe even rain. So the heat wave was just before the tour and before the Vuelta and the first 2 or 3 days of the Vuelta, but that's better now. But yesterday was still, they're in the south of Spain now. So I heard a lot of riders complain about the heat yesterday.
So Johan, we're starting to see, like, obviously the favorites are emerging. You know, there's some interesting tactics going on. You as a director of Ineos right now, watching how they rode yesterday, and essentially basically dropped Bernal because they're the ones that did the tempo. What are you doing during this rest day, and how are you looking at the stages to come, especially when they get back into the mountains?
Well, first of all, I can't understand the tactics of Ineos. We've talked about it in the Tour de France already, but especially the stage like yesterday, they had all these guys up there, and they know that Roglič his team was looking a bit more fragile. But yet, you know, they set this tempo, and you always have to think, you know, as long as you don't use the stronger climbers, with all the other guys, you're basically doing the work for Jumbo. They did the work for Roglič. It was a gift from heaven for Roglič yesterday, because it was Pidcock, it was Narvaez, it was Van Baarle. I mean, when these guys pull, it's not going to put anybody of their direct rivals in problems. It is as if Roglič has 3 guys riding there. You know.
This is not the first time you've brought this up.
No, we've seen this movie.
This is like so tell me more about this. Ineos needs to change their tactics overall as a team.
The thing is also, you know, like the tactics they had yesterday, that's really a textbook tactics when you know that your leader has unbelievable legs and is going to drop everybody on the last mountain. Then that works because you put the herd on the peloton bit by bit, and you know, the guys are getting dropped, not your direct rivals, but your direct rivals are already more tired than normal before the last climb. Now, it's clear that Bernal didn't have those legs. So it's always a question of, you know, and that's where it becomes so complicated. Now, you can feel great when you go at 90%, 92, 93%, and you say, oh, I'm feeling great. Look, let's go. I'm going to do it. And then on the last climb, you get to 97 or 98% of your limit. And all of a sudden you say, oh, I don't have it, you know? So that's probably what happened.
Johan, but you saw in the mountain finishes and stages before yesterday, Bernal was there, but I mean, he wasn't there. He was on the absolute limit, hanging on.
He was hanging on, yeah.
So I found it super strange that they were doing the ride the way they did yesterday.
Yeah, and also, especially on the last climb, then you see a guy like Adam Yates, obviously he lost time. He lost time with that crash, I think, in stage 3 or 4. So he's already a little bit more back, but he has amazing legs. And so he attacked several times and put Bernal in problems. So then it's a matter of, that's where a really experienced rider has to be on the road with the guys and say, okay, you know what, let's calm down and let's try to save this. You know, now they just did whatever. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think the tactics of Ineos are definitely not working. Bernal has now lost, I think he lost a minute or something, not to Roglič yesterday. And more than that, I think on a mental point of view, this is going to be hard to swallow, you know, because you're there and you say, okay, I'm going to get better in the second part of the race. And now all of a sudden he has this distance between him and Roglič, I think 2 minutes already, right? And knowing that there's a 34-kilometer time trial at the end where you're going to lose 1:45 to 2 minutes again. So how are you going to do it? You know, they have to change their strategy. But
would they be better served to enter the Vuelta with a clear leader? Does having this sort of all these top guys and we don't know who the good leader is, or is that decision made after week 1 when you see where people's form is?
You know, I always see these discussions and these debates about, you know, oh, you know, they don't know who the leader is, or there's this internal rivalry between guys to know, you know, for who the team is going to ride for. I don't think that's the point. You don't have to try to be the leader of the team. You have to try to be the leader of the race. That's when you can say, okay, I'm the leader, you know. Everything else is just talking, you know.
And let's not forget, we're in September. I mean, a lot of these guys have done more than a Grand Tour in under a year. So it's really hard to just have these guys all of a sudden be fresh, like they haven't raced all year long, full gas. I mean, this is like towards the end of the season. A lot of the guys are tired. So a lot of this stuff is going in like, yeah, you're riding well, but you got to hope that you can withstand the difficultness of the Tour of Spain in September after racing so hard for the whole season.
Well, that's partly true, George. I mean, if you look, Adam Yates, it's his first Grand Tour. Bernal did the Giro, then took a rest. Okay, in his defense, he got COVID,
right?
Which may be a lot bigger consequence than we think. Landa crashed out of the Giro and prepared himself for the Vuelta, so they should be fresh, these guys. Now it looks like all of a sudden for some reason they don't have it. Roglič, on the other hand, prepared for the Tour, had this crash and then pulled out after 8 days, but was able to turn it around and put in a monster ride in the Olympics in the time trial. So we knew he was on great shape. So he's the guy, and then you have Enric Mas, who went full gas in the Tour de France and is still there.
All right,
Enric Mas is a guy we need to really pay attention to.
It's 28 seconds. I mean,
he looks incredibly strong. He looks incredibly strong.
And I don't know, Johan, perhaps you do follow closer or know a lot more than us, but I mean, 28 seconds is nothing. And if he's looking good, and we know obviously the team store, they're in second and third with Movistar, they got to have some results. Like he was sort of the one of the big hope for Spain for a few years.
Oh, I mean,
he's a young rider.
He was fifth in the Tour last year. I think he was sixth this year, and 3 or 4 years ago he was second in the Vuelta. He is a good rider.
This is no Panacook.
No, he's not a Panacook. Traditionally, he ends a Grand Tour really well. I mean, we've all seen, for example, if you remember, going back to the Tour de France again, he was struggling and trying to get into the top 5. He wasn't able to, but the last mountain stage, finish on Les Ardennes, he almost got that one. He was up there with the 3 best riders of the Tour. A few things against him is, of course, that now there are only 6 riders left in Movistar so early in the race. So that's obviously going to be a factor. Losing Valverde is big for him. But I had the impression yesterday that at some point he had Primož Roglič on the ropes.
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't know about that. I mean, if you saw the way Primož bridged up to that breakaway with Adam Yates and Sepp, that was unbelievable.
I know,
think
George.
He closed the gap in 200 meters.
No, it was crazy fast. It was unbelievable. He was that fast that Sepp Kuss actually had to go out of the way, otherwise he would have hit his back wheel.
Yeah.
On an uphill. But that was 2 kilometers before Enric Mas attacked, which can be completely different. I mean, I'm not going to say that he was on the verge of being dropped, but there's little things that I'm trying to look at, the same way as, for example, we knew, for example, Lance, when Jan was your rival, we kind of knew certain little signs, okay, he's about 30 seconds of being dropped. I could see that. Certain little things in his style. I saw certain things yesterday in Roglič that, make me think that he was a little bit on the limit now. He's still, he has an advantage of 28 seconds, but, he really has an advantage of more than 2 minutes if you take into account the last time trial where he's the best and Enric Mas is not really that good. Time trialist.
Yeah. Well, those are some cards he can play later on, but and they jump right back into. I mean, it's not it's not a terribly difficult day tomorrow. Right after we speak all the time about what it's like to come out of rest days and how certain guys come out better and certain guys just fall flat. Yeah. But it's not easy. Layer in the heat, in a couple of days. Right. I mean,
the Tour of Spain, the hardest stages are in the last week. They have the Lagos de Covadonga, which are unbelievable,
brutal.
You've done that, right, Lance? Lagos de Covadonga.
If you tell me that I've done it, then I've done it.
I mean, in '98, did they not go up Lagos de Covadonga?
Probably. I think so.
Remember.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, in the rain. I believe it was raining there.
It's almost always raining in that part of Spain.
See?
Yeah. And then they have another new climb I don't know how to pronounce it. I haven't read it enough, but it's also super difficult. So there's still plenty of days to make it difficult for Primož Roglič. The thing is, though, that I see that in what we see usually with the guy who gets in the lead, the first stage in the mountains, Primož Roglič was completely by himself, isolated. The second stage with a difficult, he was there with 2 or 3 guys, but the team was having difficulties. Yesterday, there was 5 guys with him already, which you see that the team is growing around him. So obviously that's going to get better and better for him.
Yep. All right. Well, sounds like we got a lot of racing left to do then.
And we're still waiting for that roadside appearance from Johan.
Yeah, it's coming. Don't worry.
Oh wait, what? You're going to stand on the side of the road?
I'm going to go as a tourist. Yeah, I'm going to make a little cameo.
Yeah, I think we had that conversation just after you had to bounce on the last one.
Oh, that's true.
Right. Lance missed that. Yeah,
I missed all that. By the way, today's show, I want to hear about this though, but today's show also brought to you by Roka. We speak about them every show. They're just so legit. I'm seeing, it's funny, Anna did Leadville last weekend. And man, there's so many Rokas out there. I'm like, yes, Roka, boom. I'm taking some credit for this. They are the best shades out there. It's so sweet to see them so widely adopted in the endurance community, and not just the endurance community, but prescription shades, just styling shades. I got my titanium aviators right here, as I always do. Special offer for our listeners, 20% off. Head on over to roka.com, ROKA.com, and use the discount code THEMOVE. Now, hang on a minute. You said, I did have to get off and jump on that other call, but you're going to stand on the side of the road. By the way, you can do that. I just don't think that you're going to get on TV unless you do something crazy, which maybe you got planned.
Don't you remember we have our own channel? We have our own TV.
I was actually thinking of going in a Borat suit.
Well, that would probably get you on TV. The greatest director of all time has just run alongside the peloton in a Borat suit. That'd be like fucking Bill Belichick streaking the Super Bowl 20 years from now in a Borat suit. I think it's gonna get on TV if that happens.
Yeah, no, but as George says, Lance, I'm gonna make our own footage, so I'll make sure it gets on TV. Not gonna count on the Vuelta or ASO, or whoever. We're gonna make sure it gets on TV. So I'm planning to go there with my son, who's now starting to get more and more crazy about cycling. So it's gonna be an amazing day for him.
Cool.
And gonna go and be on one of those mountains, and we'll send it to the members.
Love it.
I can't let Lance. You just so passively mentioned that Anna did Leadville.
Yeah.
You should reflect on that a little bit. And then also hilarious moment that our friend and photographer Liz Kreutz caught at Leadville was you giving a guy a push. And then the guy looked back over his shoulder like, holy shit, that's Lance effing Armstrong,
right?
Giving me a push at Leadville.
Well, and that wasn't the only guy, man. I'm still sore from pushing folks, but the time, and it's not so much a time cutoff, but sort of the time limit to get a belt buckle is 12 hours. And so you'd have these people, and it was a little confusing because they now started in waves, but you have where we were standing, it's maybe 3 or 4 minutes to the finish line. You have these people that are right on the limit, and it's not easy at the end of that race, but if they finish in 12 hours in 1 minute, I mean, they go home, empty-handed. They don't get the official belt buckle. So to see these folks, just like they've been out there for fucking 12 hours. I mean, think about that. I've never ridden a bike for 12 hours ever. And they're out there and they've just got to give it everything. It's amazing actually to see just folks that, maybe train couple days a week and get out there. And so I was pushing again, and I stood around all day. I stood around for 12 hours. It was a great workout at the end of the day. But Liz
and how did Anna do? What was her time?
So Anna, she was going to be close, and so I hopped on my KTM and rode down the road called the Boulevard, and I looked at her and I said, listen, if And she comes into the feed zones. She likes standing around talking to people.
Yeah.
Checking her hair and, getting more sunscreen. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, don't you think you should get going? So anyways, I take the dirt bike down the boulevard, and I said, honey, I think you better get going. Like, she had about 20 minutes to go and still had to do the boulevard, still had to come down the final straight. And boy, she just gutted it out. She finished in 11 hours, 58 minutes and 15 seconds.
Oh, tight.
So, yeah.
And for those who aren't familiar with Leadville, it starts at what altitude and how much vert throughout the day? It
starts at, I think, town's somewhere around 10,000, and it's about 13 or 14,000 vert in total. Yeah, it's Ms. And it was windy. It was really warm and windy. It's a long day. In the winter, I mean, even for the winter, it was just over 6 hours. That's a long day. But she did great. And we had a bunch of our friends over there from Aspen, Todd DeBuff, Bob Chase, Paul Sohn, everybody out there, Dean Hill. They all did great. All got a belt buckle. By the way, they try so hard for these belt buckles. I've never seen anybody wear one.
Hanging on a wall.
Yeah. Mine, I got one somewhere. All right. Well, so are we going to do we should probably do a week 2 recap. Sounds like there's a lot of action in the next week. So we'll do another one on the next rest day, next Monday. Johan, I hope you have a great birthday, man.
Did you, thank you very much. Did we talk about one last thing? Did we talk about, this is not Vuelta related, but maybe our American audience is going to be interested in the breaking of the 4-kilometer world record. Did we talk about that last time?
No. We didn't. No.
Yeah, I think that's, it hasn't gotten a lot of media attention, but man, I think this is historical. An individual cyclist who breaks the 4-minute barrier over 4 kilometers, standing start.
From a standing start. That the most impressive thing you just said is from a standing start. We can all do the math on what a 4-minute 4K pursuit means in terms of average speed, but from a standing start, which means
that's insane.
That means in miles an hour, that means at some point he's riding, I don't know, 40 miles an hour.
But you guys saw the bike, right? The chain ring, it was carbon and it was just massive. But to get that going from a dead start.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I've seen. I have
his legs and his body. He's like Mr. Yoked. I mean, the guy's a full power.
The thing is, man. I mean, if you look at, I mean, this is an amazing performance by Ashton Lambie. First of all, let's not forget the guy who had the world record, 4 minutes 01:95, so 4:02, is Filippo Ganna, the best rider over 4 kilometers in the world. No discussion. This guy prepares, he sets his goal. I want to be the first guy to go under 4 minutes. No competition, does it, looks into all the details. I mean, George, I have a friend who was present at, there was almost nobody there. It was in Mexico, in Aguascalientes. And he was there and he filmed it. So he streamed it live. And you should have seen the skin suit. The skin suit was made like, for the sole purpose to be on the bike. When he was standing up, he could not stretch his arms. He looked like a T-Rex, like a guy like with short arms. I mean, 3:59:93. That's just unbelievable. I mean, I remember how historical it was when the 4-man team pursuit broke the 4 minutes. And this is what, 10, 12 years ago, maybe. I said, wow, under 4 minutes. Yeah. Now a guy does it alone.
All right, let me ask this, and no disrespect to Lambie, but like you mentioned Filippo Ganna, a name we know really well, right? Who's this guy Lambie?
Oh,
is he a track specialist?
Yeah.
It's why it's not as familiar.
This guy didn't just roll up from Leadville.
No.
He's the legit.
Yeah, he already had a world record before. He had the world record before.
But if you follow track closely, you know the guy.
Yeah. All these guys know him. Yeah. No, but it was unbelievable, impressive. Really, I mean, hats off to him. And Yeah, I mean,
It's
those
just
are
unfortunate that they removed the individual pursuit from the Olympics, because we would have had
it's
gold
that's
medal.
that's
That makes-
unacceptable.
That's like taking the mile out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's unacceptable. I mean,
Makes no sense.
you know, there was so much political pressure to have, you know, the certain events removed, that the kilometer time trial, which was historical, and the 4 kilometer, that should be always in there.
Always, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Johan, when you were describing the skin suit and you were talking about just how innovative it sounded like it was, it reminded me a little bit about being at dinner with George, you know, with the short arms. When it's time to pick up the check. I can't, guys, I got my skin suit on. I can't get to the pockits. Like
You saved the best for the end, Lance.
Hey, I
Jesus.
paid for dinner last time you were here.
Yeah, I probably went to some of your friends' restaurants. Just you didn't even have to pay. They're like, "Oh, I got it, George. Don't worry about it." And you walk back and you're like, "Dude, I got dinner. No, it's all good." No, seriously, George is like, we call that alligator arms. You know, it's just like, man, I want to get dinner, but can't reach it.
Oh, I gotta jump on another call, actually. I gotta run real quick.
Hey, Johan, can you leave us with one thing to look for from a competitor to Roglič, or something for Ineos to do, something that Movistar needs to do, or what should we look for in this next week?
From what well, the next week is going to be, there's not much going on in the next week. You know, this is the weak part of the Vuelta, which is, you know, there's a lot of stages for breakaways, which is, I mean, we forget to mention, actually, for me, except the dominance of Primož Roglič, the performance of Damiano Caruso yesterday, that was an unbelievable ride. We have to mention him. He was really, really strong, and to be able to maintain that in 70 kilometers on his own, and then be able to maintain that on the last climb, that was impressive.
I mean, that's a renaissance year for Caruso. He's been around forever. He's 33 years old, gets second place in the Giro, wins the stage in the Giro, and his performance yesterday was unlike anything we've seen this year. So what an incredible season he's having.
I think I've asked you this already, George. Have you been teammates with Caruso on BMC?
No, he was on BMC, but after I left.
Okay. Yeah. But not, I mean, Caruso, but not just Caruso. I think, you know, Bahrain, if you look at Bahrain, since the Giro, since Caruso was, he won a stage, he was second in the overall. Then the Dauphiné, they won, I think, 3 or 4 stages in the Dauphiné, Bahrain. They won 2 stages in Tour of Switzerland. Then they won 3 stages in the Tour. And now, you know, so they are, for the moment, one of the only teams, one of the only Pro Tour teams that win stages in all 3 Grand Tours. And this is without their, you know, supposed leader, Mikel Landa.
Right.
So, yeah, amazing. So I think what we really going to see is, for the moment, it's a race between, and I think it's going to stay that way. It's a race between Roglič and Enric Mas. Those 2 guys have been there at the crucial moments, and the other guys have been one day yes, one day no, no consistency. And from what it looks like, those are the 2 strongest riders.
Okay, well, we'll stay tuned. We'll be here to report on it. Hopefully something goes down.
Okay. See you guys next week.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Talk to you in a week.
Ciao.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you very much.
No, really. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Birthday.